Atkinson. He's the interim director of the Martin Luther King Jr. Center. And Marcus, good to see you. Appreciate it, man.
Good to see you, too, not under these circumstances. I feel like every time I come here, it's with a different title.
That's true. That's true. Last time you were here, representing the, Parade Street, the East Side Renaissance. And again, that's still very much part of your portfolio, right?
100%. Yeah. 100%. We have an executive director there. He's doing a wonderful job.
Exactly. Let's talk about James Sherrod.
Oh, man, yeah.
Again, we're still, obviously, as a community, as people personally that we're friends, are mourning his passing. He was a great man, a larger than life individual that like super smart administrator, super smart connection for people. But share your thoughts.
Well, I'm still reeling from this personally, and I'm in this weird space where I haven't really grieved per se. I'm still focused on his work. I mean, if you know myself, if you know James and some of the people around us, you will probably be under the impression that, man, these guys are probably talking about these missions long after work and, over cigar or over dinner. And they're right. I mean, this is life. These are not jobs. Mm-hmm. And so when he passed, his family came to mind first and foremost, and his staff and the work. And so I'm so busy making sure that his work wasn't done in vain and making sure that this transition process goes well that I haven't really taken time to grieve. In a couple of months, I'll go off somewhere and I will completely unplug. And that's when I'll really, really take time to memorialize him internally. But everyone is still in shock.
Yeah. He was a man that continued a mission that comes out of the 60s and out of the concept of making lives better for folks that had traditionally been left behind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And he was a traditionalist in terms of the people that did the work before him. And so James was a historian when it comes to the agencies, not just the King Center, but the agencies in general. And the work that was done ahead of time, he took very seriously and was always making constant reference to Mr. Thompson and Mr. Denny and all of these people that came ahead of us. Mm-hmm. And pieces of their work existed in his work, as it does for many of us. But he was always one of those voices at the table that reminded us, when Mr. So-and-so did such and such, the intent was X. Are we honoring that? It's our job to add to it and to make sure that that mission, that part of the mission is updated. But certainly we want to honor the intent because, we don't take these agencies for granted. And to the day he died, he never did. And that I admired about him. He was the North Star of our group. And not people say things like this when you pass, but it is honestly the truth. Anybody who knows James knows that for all the things that he was involved with, he oftentimes, if not always, was that North Star that reminded you, this is what we're doing and why, right? And so in that respect, he's irreplaceable.
It's appropriate that the MLK Center is right there in the Jerusalem neighborhood.
That's right.
Jerusalem, the basically the African American original African American neighborhood back in the 1800s. That's where Harry T. Burley came out of, and so on. But he was also, again, an innovator. And so you fast forward to the 2020s, and you've got what's going on with the Grow Erie thing on the east side and the MCIC. And so, again, as a traditionalist historian, but man, innovation going on there.
And therein lies the challenge from a leadership perspective, is to honor the past and continually build upon it. The job is to never manage the past. And as great as James's work was, as great as he was as an executive director and as a leader, it would be anathema to him even if we made the decision to just manage his accomplishments. No, the challenge is to move it forward and to keep building upon it. And so he took that seriously. And that's something that we take seriously as well. We take on that responsibility head on, and it's our job to pass that mindset on to a different generation so that they can do the same. Don't be so caught up in admiring the work and the workers of the past that you don't add on to it and make life a little better for the next group ahead of you.
But that's so wise. All right, so immediately after the hearing of the passing, after that initial shock, the board of directors came to you. What was the ask?
I mean, as we all sat down and talked, it really came down to, I've served 11 years on the board.
Okay.
I've served 6 years as president. And, I think a lot of people saw James and I work together in the most obvious way with the event center when we renovated that. I mean, I've got that picture framed of he and I inside the event center from Erie Times on my wall in his office, on the wall in his office. And so the people were conscious of that. And it just, in many respects, the agency was fortunate that, even if it were the opposite, the agency was fortunate that there was that level of continuity right there in the room. And so people saw fit to want to take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. A lot of agencies don't have that luxury if and when they go through this. I know GCAC's been through this twice.
Wow, yeah.
And to have someone and let me add this, who I just elevated to as assistant director, to which the King Center's never had one officially, Darlene Henderson, who was Mr. Sherrod's number 2, but not officially per se, who was officially the number 2 now. She is an encyclopedia of all things King Center. And so she's the ultimate number 2 for not just myself, but for who's next. But the board recognized this looks and feels like the right continuation plan in the immediate future.
Yeah, yeah. Again, school restarted after Christmas and what have you. Did programs? I mean, was there a glitch with programs, or did they not skip a beat?
No, and it's a testimony to his. It's a testament to his staff.
Yeah,
dedicated staff, and it also underscores that if you are running an agency, that delegation is key. You have to let people do what they're paid to do. I'm big on that.
Yeah.
Some people hate you for it. It's not my cross to bear. You signed up for it. You get paid to do it. You do the thing. And the department heads are all very conscious of their mission, and they've done it. And they've got me up to speed, and now we're doing it together. But these programs continued on. That's the whole point. It's bad leadership if we got to shut it down because you are no longer available. And that was not James. And so the team has carried on to include the upcoming dinner.
Oh, terrific. Yeah. Let's mention that because you have, it seems that the MLK Memorial Dinner every year gets bigger and bigger, and it's a big one this year.
Oh, man, it's a big one. And I got to tell you, it's the perfect storm right now. That movie with George Clooney and Mark Wahlberg, man, I feel like suing them, man, for that title. This is the perfect storm. And because you got James gone, we're bringing in Ben Crump.
Yes.
Like the new Johnny Cochran. He probably hates me. I hope he doesn't hear me say that. This is for lack of a better reference.
Yes.
Ben Crump is coming, and all of this happens right around that same time. The Marcello Woodard case is raging at that time. Ben Crump is here handling that. I mean, just so much going on. And add to that, a grieving staff is now saying, as they wipe the tears from their eyes, the show must go on. And they're putting this thing together. Wow. And man, it has been a Herculean task. And it's been a joy to be a part of in that respect because of the teamwork. But man, oh man, it's been an undertaking with all of these variables.
There are no tickets. Where is it happening? And
it's at the Ambassador.
It's at the Ambassador.
We wish it could be at the Bayfront Sheraton. The Bayfront Convention Center. Obviously, that's being torn apart down there, and there's some other things going on. And so, again, goes to that perfect storm, right? So it's at the Ambassador, and it is sold out. Obviously, it was sold out rather quickly. We've been hog tying some things and making room and really finding extra tickets here and there. Our sponsors have been very agreeable where that's concerned.
And that's good.
I've never seen so many people bend over backwards in so many ways to accommodate so many people. It's like people are just coming together and saying, what can I do? And so it's been great. But yeah, it's sold out, man. It should be a nice event.
It sounds terrific. And will you be? Is there going to be a moment honoring?
Oh, absolutely. It'll be a moment honoring it. And I'll tell you, if you aren't at the dinner, what you will see is new leadership in Erie on display.
Okay.
It was something that James was very adamant about. And I said when I first moved back from Erie, and I mentioned it on this show before, I specifically remember that we're a generation or two behind in terms of leadership. And I know it's complimentary when people say, you know what, I think you're the person to run this. But, you know, when you're in your 50s or 60s or 70s, maybe it's time to say, perhaps so-and-so who's 36
Let's
or
move
41.
that baton.
Yeah, maybe you can give them a shot.
Wow.
You will see that whole generation on stage. And so I'll be there in the beginning to welcome people. You won't see me again.
Wow.
For the rest of that program, nor will you see anyone that is remotely my age other than one special guest and the speaker.
That's really again, forward-thinking, progressive, because that's one of the complaints I have in general about Erie and Erie leadership is the boomers are still hanging on.
Oh yeah. You know? We love you, we admire you. You know, and listen, I remember the notorious B.I.G. saying in an interview before, and they asked him about how long he was going to be rapping, and Biggie said, "You know, I don't want to be the dude rapping in his 70s." He said, "I want to be the dude who's like still relatively young, like Biggie hung it up, Biggie's still cool. You know, he made room for the next generation." I feel like that's why at ESR you see Paul Hamilton. We got this real sharp young guy who is the leader of Eastside Renaissance. We're eating our own home cooking when it comes to this conversation.
Very good.
There's some smart 30 and 40 somethings in Erie, accomplished 30 and 40 somethings in Erie. And so we welcome the chance to work with them and help them advance their own agendas as leaders.
Yeah, I always ask, you know, I was given the opportunity to be a CEO at 28. And I'm like, where's the 28-year-old?
Oh, you don't see them.
You know?
You don't see them. And we treat them like kids, like you're too young. He said, these are grown-ups
right.
with families, and we make them sound like they're seniors in high school. Sooner or later, they'll be ready. How ready you want them to be? The man's got 2 kids. Our executive director, Paul, is a married man with 2 kids. Like, how much seasoning do you want him to have?
Exactly right. We're talking to Marcus Atkinson. We're going to take a quick break here as we talk about change at the Martin Luther King Center and leadership and all the things. Stay with us. Marcus Atkinson is with us here on Talk Erie as we continue on this Friday. We're getting a lay of the land at the Martin Luther King Center. Again, the King holiday is Monday. The memorial dinner sold out at the Ambassador tomorrow night. This is just perfect timing. I'm so glad you reached out. Though, man, you're working awfully early in the morning. You had a 4 o'clock timestamp on that email this morning.
I get it all the time. People are like, "Bro, what were you doing up there?" I struggle with sleep. My wife hates it. I struggle with sleep. I can't shut it off, Joel. I try. It is just very difficult.
Well, and again, when you have a lot of responsibility and you have a lot of buckets that are taking your attention. I can imagine the stress of that all. Let's go through, the fundamental elements of the Martin Luther King Center. So, because as you're looking for leadership, it's a pretty heavy lift. I mean, you're looking for someone that has some broad shoulders.
Yeah, and and I tell people in private and personal conversations, because they'll run up on me on the street. I want to put my name in for that. Don't get caught up on what you perceive as the sexy of being a leader. Right? You're about to find whoever gets this job is going to find out the hard way just how good James C. Sherrod was. Because this is a huge undertaking. You've got the obvious things. You've got the youth department, and that youth department is consisting of a lot of different components. I mean, you've got the traditional, your after-school programs, your prevention programs, your athletic programs. You've got wrestling. You've got basketball. We've got Erie Dance Theater, which is a program of the Martin Luther King Center. It is in a separate location on Cherry Street. You've got...
And that's been around forever.
That's been around forever.
Wasn't that the Bayfront Ballet?
Bayfront Ballet back in the day.
Yes.
Man, the photos are wild, man. You see some of these old photos there. Our current president, Bill Williams, is in those photos. He was a dancer back in those days, man, for the King Center. And you've got that. You've got the child care department, which for every facility, child care is always a huge part of the budget.
Okay.
I don't care if you're talking about YMCA, this center, that center. If there's a child care component, that is responsible for bringing in a lot of revenue for any agency that it's attached to. It's no different at the King Center.
How have you guys done with hiring for workers?
It's very difficult because it's very competitive, and this will be a cross for someone to bear as well, because it's heavily regulated, first of all. And again, when you see from a competitive standpoint, you can just drive throughout the city and you can see all the facilities.
Sure.
And child care and home health care, there's certain agencies where you just see there are a lot of options. And this is no different. And so staffing, paying staff, making sure that all regulations are properly met. When regulations fall to the wayside and you do get dinged, how do you handle that and garner the confidence of the community again? All of these things have to be accounted for. And so that's a big part of it as well. The King Center is the King Center is a huge property owner. People don't know that. We owned the mini mall down the street on the corner. All of those agencies and all those stores inside of those are our tenants. We own the Alex Thompson Apartments that's adjacent to the King Center, and those are housing authority properties. We own apartments all throughout the Lower West Side in scattered sites as well. And so some are privately owned. Well, all of them are owned by us. Some are privately regulated, and some are regulated by the state. Some are regulated by HUD. And so you got all of these different models going on.
Do you have to, I would imagine, maintain a maintenance system?
Yes, sir.
Different maintenance, a number of workers,
absolutely.
Right?
Goes back to the perfect storm. And so as I'm taking this interim seat, we've got an inspection that was just going on for our Alex Thompson Apartments. That's HUD. Then we've got inspections going on from our insurance company for our private properties, and you've got to answer to that. And simultaneously, we have an audit going on. All of this is going on as we're doing this dinner thing and everything else. And so it is a lot. And so when people say, I thought you guys were hiring right now, you don't want this seat right now. Trust me, you will thank me later. You will thank our board later. There's a lot going on. And you don't want the whole staff to quit because you've got all this going on and you've got somebody from no fault of their own saying, hey, I need to get brought up to speed on how all of this works. That isn't good. Mm-hmm. And so add to that the partnerships, MCIC, and the role with our West Bayfront, right? The role with UNFHC, all of these different partnerships that the King Center is involved with, on top of the leadership roles that James played in community. Yeah. Wow. The King Center is a legitimate player in the not just the nonprofit landscape, but in the social and civic and economic landscape throughout this city. And people need to recognize that sitting in this chair is no small thing.
Yeah, I mean, let's dig at that a little bit, because we have new leadership at City Hall, mm-hmm. new leadership in the courthouse, mm-hmm. and what should be first off of many of our leaders' mouths, whether they're in departments or actually in the fifth floor, is, well, what does Marcus have to say, or what does Gary Horton have to say, or mm-hmm. what does Chantel have to say, representing Booker T? I mean, the idea of that those in the community centers kind of represent constituencies that need to have a voice at the highest levels.
Absolutely.
I mean, again, you're on the board at the Erie Community Foundation.
Yeah.
You're able to bring that voice to a very important contingent there.
Yeah, and to Daria's point and to Christina Vogel's point, neither one of them needed to be told that. And I didn't think, you know, Daria is extremely seasoned, right? Christina, I'm just having the pleasure of getting to know, but even where that's concerned, she had the wherewithal to say, hey, listen, this is an important component of the community. Can I learn more? Can we talk about that? No one had to send for her, if you will. And Daria was a very early part of her agenda. Her transition team member came to see us and sit down and talk about some things. She herself is coming to tour here shortly. She says, I don't want to come in too soon. I know you got a lot going on, but I said, listen, right after the dinner, we'd love to have you. She said, I'm coming right after the dinner. And so we've got new leadership who understand all of the contributions for different agencies throughout the city, to include ours.
Yeah.
And it's something that agencies like the King Center have had to remind certain people of over the years. Like, listen, do we have to remind you of our contribution to our city?
There was a moment pre-COVID that needed to be reminded. I mean, at one point they were messing around with the block grants or whatever that. You remember all that?
Oh, I do. And it stings when that happens. And heaven forbid that any politician puts themselves in that position, because you're supposed to serve your constituency. And certainly anyone who serves your constituency well should be of importance to you as a politician. That, to me, is politics 101. And you kind of die to self and serve. And that is not the mindset of so many politicians nowadays. This new group understands that. And so I think that the collaboration will be profound.
Well, and also in the nonprofit world, you should be looking around to see if anybody else is doing what you want to do, because, you know, sometimes people want to do duplicate services.
Absolutely. You know, who's doing what, and what role could you possibly play in that? And then what role does the city play in that? What role does the county play in that? Is it advocacy? Is it funding? All of these different things. And Erie has the potential to, and we've all been saying it, to just really march to the beat of one solid drum, if you have the right leaders in place in the right positions. And definitely with the latest individuals that have been elected, city council, city hall, county executive, we feel good about where everything is going.
Well, that's really, really good news to me, because again, one of the key things that we hear from politicians down in Harrisburg, and you're aware of this, is that for years Erie talked all over the place. Mm-hmm. There wasn't consistency.
Yeah.
And alignment is key if you're looking for funding. It
really is. And that's something that we recognize, you know, with the city. And when you think about it, listen, even some of these other initiatives that are going on, whether it's from an advisory council perspective or partnership, you've got agency leaders and board members of all of these agencies that are involved with initiatives throughout Erie. It's not exclusive to just our agencies.
Right.
And so the word and the words of and the images of and the persona of these leaders are good enough to say, hey, we need you involved with this initiative. Then certainly these personas and these personalities are leading their agencies well. You know, and so singing to one page of sheet music is great and it's attainable, but it's only when everybody at the table is valued. Right? You can't be relegated to second place and at the same time, hey, but listen, we're all in this together. But you got to act like that, though. Right?
Wow.
And so that's always been one of the sticking points. But I feel like we're making great strides where that's concerned.
Well, and again, you know, it's just so hard to lose James in the middle of all this, because you see the momentum.
Yep.
For years and years, there was stagnation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know that more than anybody else. And now it feels like we're getting that flywheel going.
Yeah.
And so even though we're going to mourn James's loss, but there is some incredible opportunities for whoever ends up being the new leader here. And, you know, as the you know, these organizations continue to coalesce and mature. Mm-hmm. I've got to take a break. When we come back, Marcus, I want to talk about, you know, what you're looking for in that leader, and to make sure that we're keep keeping people clear on any misconceptions of what's going on in the leadership. The leadership search here. We are talking to Marcus Atkinson. He is the interim director for the Martin Luther King Jr. Center. Again, they are having the memorial dinner tomorrow night, sold out at the Ambassador. Again, folks getting together. Appreciate you tuning in to Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show, live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at 5th and State. We're also live on Facebook and on YouTube on this Friday. And I'm glad to have with me here Marcus Atkinson. He is the Interim Director of the Martin Luther King Center. That's just one of your titles.
I'm shedding them slowly but surely.
Are you really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm keeping some of the titles, but from a distance.
Okay.
From a distance.
I want, one of the key reasons that you're here is to just kind of be plain spoken about this transition. And so I just want to open the floor to you and say, okay, what are the misconceptions out there, and what do we need to understand about all this?
Well, let's go with the obvious misconception. Let me be clear, 1,000% crystal clear. I am not going to be the long-term director of the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Center. I'm an obvious choice for interim, and I've served on the board for a while. I know I have a background in this, and I think for people who have a goal to get in this seat, that there wasn't maybe an intimidation factor to this. And, well, he's already on the inside, he's got experience, and now they've given him the check. A lot of people just don't understand the world of transition and interim and intent. And so I'm the interim director. I head the transition committee. It is my responsibility to prepare for and to help find the new leader. So be clear about that.
Well, and people need to understand that you can't go without a leader.
Exactly. They don't.
You have to have somebody that's steering the ship.
Right. And with positions like this, in a perfect world, I mean, when you think, and again, no aspersions to anyone, the average person doesn't understand how this world works because they're not around executive leadership often. It is extremely rare. Now, if there was an assistant director who's been next to James for years, that would have been all right. He or she has been elevated to the spot that has been trained by James specifically for this role over there. That wasn't the case. Yeah. And so here we are. Be that as it may. And so that's the first thing I want to clear up. The second thing, this is going to be a 6-month process. People, when are you taking applications? This is going to be a 6-month process, right? Yeah. And there's a lot of things that have to be rearranged, not because things were being done wrong, not because things are out of order. Things are customized to the leader that led the agency for 18 years. And so more than likely, that level of experience will not exist in this new leader. It could, but more than likely this next person, he or she will not be as experienced as James, and you want it to be as generic as possible so that whomever can just plug and play. I get it. This is kind of a template for, leadership one-on-one to the best of our ability. That is part of my responsibility. And so I'm not there just having conversation with the staff. We are restructuring things so that it is as clean a template as possible. That's the other misconception. But the timeline is really big because I know people are expecting to come and put in an application. That's another thing we want to clear up. We have not made a decision about a third party to get involved, but we are talking about it because in Erie, there's 2 degrees of separation. Most of the people that want this job, I know personally, other board members know personally. I'm sure everybody's jockeying. They're tying up somebody in some back room. Hey, man, you know me. That's not the situation. And so there will be a vetting process that we're agreeing upon right now in the backdrop. But that comes with a cost and everything else, and the board has not made that decision. But the timeline of roughly 6 months, we're looking to announce in September. We're making a decision on a third party ASAP. And so if we do go that route, we'll initiate someone's services right away. And then we will start actively announcing this is what the process looks like so that you can then follow the prompts.
Do you anticipate either hiring a consultant or what have you? Are there consultants that kind of live in this space?
Oh, absolutely. There's a couple of good agencies right here.
Oh, okay.
And there's some names that I'm sure that people are familiar with that are watching this show. Yeah, there's a lot of agencies. Yeah. And so there are several that I've had personal experiences with, several that board members have had personal experiences with. And so that's a conversation that will be a matter of discussion probably at our next board meeting because this is a front burner issue.
Does it have to be somebody from Erie?
In this particular instance, we are of the strong mindset that absolutely it has to be.
Interesting.
Absolutely. You know, if you just look at, you don't even have to look at just Erie. And this is me speaking. I'm not speaking on behalf of the board when I say this.
Okay.
If you just look at Erie, it's always a crapshoot anyways when you bring somebody in from out of town. How long are they here? Looks great on the resume. And listen, I can name out-of-town people that I absolutely adore that are 100% great for Erie. We can name out-of-town people that have come in just long enough to fill that resume up. It can go either way. But you have a very, very unique situation with these three neighborhood centers. I'm in the lobby the other day, to that point. I'm in the lobby the other day, and I'm speaking to the lady at our front desk, Charlene, and one of the ladies in the background was talking, and they're all kind of gathering around that desk. And one of them looked at me and said, "Ooh, you look just like Mercy or my mom." And they all started laughing. And I do happen to look exactly like my mother. And it is, and that may seem small, but being able to trace your lineage to these neighborhood centers and these neighborhoods matters. It has to really be a part of the fiber of your being. It really does. When I was at the Atkinson Center, the biggest infraction was if the children picked up on the fact, if the teens picked up on the fact that you didn't care about them personally, that you didn't like them, that you were a burden on them. When I was with the teen center or the kids club, that was the biggest and most egregious sin. You don't love the kids, you got to go. This is not a job. This is a calling. This is a mission. This is a ministry. And that's how James lived, and that's how he died. This has to be a part of someone's DNA. I believe that. Or you will probably be frustrated from the job because the roots run so deep in these agencies. I've said before on stage, to a person, every black leader my age or a little younger, 90% of us, if you enjoy the work that we do, if you admire the work that we do, you can trace it back to one of these three centers. And you can do that to the generation in front of us. It is a part of our DNA. It doesn't necessarily have to be the King Center, but one of these agencies there has to be a shared history there for this to really work. My opinion, we believe that the talent we're looking for is 100% right here in this city in large number. And we're not talking 2 or 3 people. I could probably rattle off 15 people off the top of my head that I would say I would encourage blah, 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 blah to apply. And I'm sure other board members can do the same, all of which fit that description. We have raised, and we sleep on this. It goes back to what we were talking about off air, about Daria's commentary, about how we talk about our city. We've really raised some phenomenal leaders. I don't know why we keep going abroad to find people when we've got great leaders here. I've heard public speakers come in to speak from out of town at different events, and myself, Curtis Jones, and several others could talk circles around them. Why you didn't hire us, I don't know.
Right.
But we don't suffer from that low self-esteem.
Sometimes the context does need new eyes.
Sometimes.
I'm going to sing some praise on Superintendent Gibbs right now.
100%.
Because we were due for an educator.
Yes.
And before her, we were definitely due for an accountant like Mr. Polito. I mean, Mr. Polito saved the ship.
100%.
But now we need an educator and someone who's going to be able to draw bigger and better outcomes from our students.
Absolutely.
So that's the school district.
That's the school district.
So when we
public school district.
Yes, sir. So when we talk about the community centers,
birthed from the culture of these communities.
Yes.
All 3 of them.
But but it'll be incumbent upon your board,
yes,
to allow someone to be creative and progressive
100%.
and put their own flair on it.
I tell you what I would love to see, and it happened with me. It happened with multiple others. There are very sharp people that these centers in this city and this school district raised that have gone on to other places. Maybe this is the job that makes them say, you know what? I'm now living in Milwaukee or DC or Atlanta or Charlotte. I'm going to apply. I would move back home for this. That group, there's a lot of very talented people that these neighborhoods and these agencies raise that are no longer here, who may think twice about coming back at the prospect of running one of these neighborhood centers. And so I'm very anxious to see who applies. What I know for a fact, and it doesn't guarantee that there isn't a candidate that's from out of town that has no connection. I'm not precluding.
Right.
I'm just saying that in my heart of hearts, we believe that the talent level that we're looking for, A, is here, and B, has the roots that connect to these agencies.
Well, again, the goal, the overall community goal,
Yes,
is that we're rising
That's
the
right.
tide.
That's
we're
right.
rising the boats.
That's right.
And so it's exciting to think about that boomeranger, for example.
Oh,
well, again,
absolutely.
you're kind of the poster child.
Yeah.
You know,
and I'm
I mean,
not the only one.
But you brought fresh ideas.
I did.
To the conversation.
Yeah. And other people will do the same. You know, I look at, just from an innovation standpoint, you know, I look at Tiffany McLeod, East High graduate.
Yeah.
And all the work that she's doing and the innovative approach, you know, Shateria Franklin, Angela McNair.
Yes.
You know, you look at everything that Pastor Darrell Cook is doing at his church, his brother Cor, all of these different, you think about all of the very sharp, innovative minds at work right here. New programming, new methods, you know, new ways of thinking, new ways of looking at things. And we sleep on it. It's like, wow, you look at Brandon Wiley is not from Erie per se, but you look at all that he's accomplishing.
Yes.
Right? And his friend group, the Jonathan Atkinsons, right here from Erie, and the work that he's doing. And how Caesar Westbrook, who went to high school with my daughter, who could argue about his brilliance? This level of brilliance in their 30s and 40s is all around us. And I don't know why we pretend that it's not here, but it is in large number. And so I'm anxious to shake the tree and see what falls out.
I love all that. And it's super cool to have kind of an abundance mindset with all of this.
Yeah.
Insofar as that, you know what? Where Erie is going with the kind of investment that's happening, throughout the community, that our community centers are not going to be left behind. And in fact, maybe this could be their biggest moment 50, 60 years after their inception of really, really having a season of opportunity and growth.
That's right. And that's something that we're looking forward to. As I said before, it's a matter of, honoring the past, but building on it. Listen, as I think about this transition, there's no such thing as replacing James Sherrod, right? And the 6-month, window, we're trying to do this right and not fast.
Yeah.
And I know people want us to do it fast. I'd rather do it right. And so when it's done and we start making the rounds of introducing this person to the public, to the media, to leaders around the city, because there'll be a warm transfer between myself and this person. There'll be some overlap. This won't be just, okay, you got it, I'm gone. I mean, this will be a very thoughtful process. And so you got 6 months until we look to hire somebody in theory in September. Then you've got a warm transfer period where myself and this person will work this thing together. Right? And make the right introductions and with the staff and to develop the right rhythm. And that goes on through the rest of the year. There's nothing simple about this process. I want to have a good conscience for my friend that I dearly love when this is all said and done, that we treated your work and your role with great care. And we weren't haphazard with it. No one on our board has that mindset about the legacy of not just James, but the agency.
I'm gonna challenge you with this as we just got a couple more minutes.
All right.
I want you to talk to 8-year-old Marcus Atkinson, but in 2026, that 8-year-old kid that's full of dreams, full of smarts.
Yeah.
But is loving his friends at the center. Talk to him or her. And what are your hopes and dreams for him?
Oh, wow. I've never been asked the question in that context. Being specific to myself, I would tell that 8-year-old Marcus that you are not crazy. You don't want too much. Don't let people talk you out of wanting to be great. Don't let people convince you that you're asking too much to want to not just tap into your greatness, but to be developed into somebody great. You're okay and you have it in you. And at some point, somebody's going to recognize it and help bring it out Bring it out in you. Despite whatever's being said or done around you, you have to continue to believe that you are who you believe you are and keep moving forward. What I would say to young people in general, not just young Marcus, and young Marcus had to embrace this as well. God will put people in your path that you never suspected to help water that seed inside of you, and to help open doors, and to help show you things, and to help teach you things. And they may not look like you. Thomas Dortch, who was the past leader of the 100 Black Men of America, who died right before he was scheduled to come here to speak.
Wow.
At the King Center dinner. And his best friend, and who wasn't his vice president, stepped in as the interim. Same situation. I will continue his work until we find the right leader. He came and spoke in his stead. Right? And so Thomas Dortch said his mother told him once upon a time that you will find those that are of your color, but not of your kind. And you will find those that are not of your color, but are of your kind. And so the person that is most compatible with who you are and who you're becoming is not always from your community. It's not always from your ethnic group. And so I've noticed in my life, God has used a diverse group of people to say, let me teach you this, let me show you that, let me introduce you to this. Accept the help. Don't overanalyze what they look like, how much money they have, what hood they come from. Do they even come from the hood? Do they speak broken English? Don't overanalyze it. Take the lesson. It might be for a season. It might be for an extended season. It might be for a lifetime. God decides that, and you'll find out. You'll figure it out. He'll speak to you and let you know what that is. But to be open to it. If you follow that, I feel like God is always on time. It's just whether or not you'll follow the steps. You know, it's like that old Indiana Jones thing. I'll end it on this, where you take a step and the next one appears. You show me the staircase. I refuse. I'm God. Who are you to ask me that? Are you taking a step or not? And so you do, and somebody or something is revealed to you. If I told you all of the people that were instrumental in my journey, you'd have a hard time putting them all in one category.
Wow. I love the idea that 8-year-old Marcus, and whatever you are these days in 2026, is an opportunity, is an accept, willing to step through, to make those steps. And I tell you, if we could just have more children, I don't care what neighborhood they're from, what color they are, if they would accept the opportunity to plug into their God-given talents and strengths and go for it, we would be a better community. We'd have stronger families, better community, better neighborhoods, and I appreciate you. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. And hopefully we clarify some things where this transition is concerned. We're looking forward to whomever. If you're listening and this is something you want to do, keep listening. When the time is right, we look forward to you following the steps. And hey, listen, good luck to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Marcus Atkinson, Interim Director at the Martin Luther King Center. Stay with us. It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show.
All right.